They were the challengers. Cool, calm, powerful, intense, and determined. And right from the start, this rivalry was evident. But in the end, it was the Bulls who delivered the knockout blow to the Pistons, who decided not to even stay around to the bitter end. This season, the Bulls have been in championship form. Is there anyone out there who can challenge the reigning champions? The Pistons seem to be on the comeback trail, but can they regain their championship form? Today, it's another showdown in Motown.
This is the NBA on NBC. Today, it's the Chicago Bulls versus the Detroit Pistons.
This, the 172nd consecutive shutout at the Palace of Auburn Hills. 21,000 turning out for the second meeting of the season between the Pistons and the Bulls. Chicago off to a roaring start at 32-5. That's the best record in the NBA. And they have won 8 in a row, 13 of the last 14. While Detroit has turned it around. They're now 22-16. And they have won 5 straight. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert. Welcome to the start of our weekly NBA coverage here on NBC. And we are action-packed this afternoon. Following Detroit and Chicago, it will be Phoenix and Portland. That is coming up, a matchup of two red-hot teams. Phoenix has won 6 in a row. Portland has taken 4 straight. And then at halftime of the Phoenix-Portland game, our Quinn Buckner will be talking with Larry Bird of the Boston Celtics. Now to a man who has telestrated his way to enormous financial security. He is indeed the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. And Mike, there's been so much talk about the animosity between these two clubs, the Bulls and the Pistons. Do you look for a rough game here today, a roughhouse style tactics?
Marv, I think back to those great Thanksgiving Day games between the Bears and the Lions, where they beat each other up in the black and blue division of the NFL. And there's not much difference here as far as the feelings go between these two basketball teams. Aggressive play usually starts at the defensive end, and today we have the first and third best defensive teams in the NBA. Aggressive defensive play usually means taking hard fouls, and one individual who's received his share of those hard fouls is Michael Jordan. Jordan has been outspoken as far as his disdain for the Pistons style of defensive play. We talked to him earlier today, and he still feels the same way. So let's stay tuned and see if the 3 knockdown rules in effect this afternoon.
And with Detroit turning it after the slow start, you know, a sense that air of cockiness or confidence has returned to the Pistons?
Well, a year ago, the Pistons still felt they were the best team in the NBA. But a series of injuries reduced them to a team that really couldn't beat Chicago in the playoffs. After a slow start this year, they're back. Their confidence level is up. They've won 12 out of 14. They feel they have a shot come playoff time.
And joining us, as always, on today's telecast, a man who has elevated sideline reporting to respectability. Here's Ahmad Rashad.
Hey, boy! Look out. All right, Marv. Now, I was speaking with John Sally earlier this morning about the rivalry. He said things have changed. In the past, Chicago used to use Detroit as a barometer of just how good they are. Now it's changed. Detroit is using Chicago with that same barometer. Another thing, I talked to Michael Jordan before the game. He said the player in the league that gives him the most trouble is Joe Dumars. That is something that we will watch and stay on top of. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, and here at the Palace, Isaiah and his Pistons would like to send a direct message to the Bulls, making it clear that they are back as a serious threat.
For trust, the best ever read.
Lineups first with the visitors. The Bulls have John Paxson and Michael Jordan in the backcourt. On the front line, it will be Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen. And the starting center is Bill Cartwright. The coach of the Chicago Bulls, Phil Jackson, he and his coaching staff have clinched the spot for the Eastern Conference All-Star team. They will be handling the Eastern Conference and the All-Star game in Orlando. Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars open up in the Detroit backcourt. Dennis Rodman, who leads the NBA, averaging 17 rebounds per game, along with Orlando Woolridge, are up front. And the center is Bill Laimbeer. The coach of the Pistons, Chuck Daly, a man who decided to return for one more season at least. And, of course, Chuck will be coaching the 1992 U.S. Olympic men's basketball team in Barcelona. The officials, Hugh Evans, Ronnie Nunn, and Ted Bernhardt. And this crowd is sky high for this matchup.
Well, they honestly believe now that this team has a chance to beat Chicago. They've been looking forward to this encounter. They felt that Detroit played well the first half. Last time they faced them in Chicago, but they just couldn't sustain it for the entire game.
Chicago has won 6 straight against Detroit, including a sweep of last season's Eastern Conference Final and that earlier meeting back on November the 12th in Chicago. The Bulls beat the Pistons convincingly 110 to 93, and Detroit controls the opening tip. So Dumars, who broke out of a mild slump in the win against Indiana on Wednesday. Here's Woolridge. Orlando Woolridge, who it was revealed earlier today, signed a new 2-year contract extension. And you wonder how that will affect some other members of the Pistons, in particular Mark McGuire. Paxson is open. Yes, and the game is tied at 2.
Well, they're gambling right now, coming back off Paxson. Isaiah back in the hole, double teaming, seeing if Paxson knocks out early shots. After the first one, we'll see how much longer they stay with this.
Detroit's last game, last Wednesday, beat the Indiana Pacers at Market Square in Indianapolis, 118-104. The Bulls come off a Friday night home victory over San Antonio, winning 102 to 96. Here's Thomas, and that is called an offensive foul.
Well, it's very important that Isaiah Thomas stay in the flow of the offense for the Detroit Pistons. One of the problems is with Pippen matched up against Laimbeer and Jordan playing Dumars, they're 2 big scorers. Someone else must pick up that load. Isaiah can't get out of control in trying to do it.
Dennis Rodman is matched with Bill Cartwright. Rodman at 6'8", maybe. Cartwright, and he took the push.
And that's the one thing that Chuck Daly and his staff did not want to have happen was early fouls on Dennis Rodman. One of the reasons why they put him on Bill Cartwright, so he could stay out of foul trouble and get on the defensive boards. Down the low post, Rodman working for defensive position, but that's a big body down there in Cartwright, and this is a trademark of Chicago. They like to go early in the game to Cartwright down low. This is one of the reasons why.
Bill Cartwright at 7'1", 245 pounds, going up against Dennis Rodman, who is perhaps 6'8", 210. Cartwright shooting only 66% from the line. Now, this is unusual. When he first came to the NBA as a member of the New York Knicks, he was a solid free throw shooter, and he's dropped off in recent years.
How about his field goal percentage from the floor? Shooting just over 37%. Very uncharacteristic for Bill Cartwright.
Although Bill has come back from a broken left hand. Thomas off the dribble, got the step. Laimbeer keeping it alive. And look out, Cartwright and Rodman going right at each other. That was quickly broken up.
Well, keep in mind now for Detroit, Dennis Rodman, as outstanding as Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Laimbeer, perhaps with technical foul call on Chuck Daly by Hugh Evans, referee. I was saying, as important as Isaiah, Dumars, and Laimbeer are, the key guy right now in this stretch run may be Dennis Rodman for the Pistons. They need him on the floor in a lot of minutes.
Michael Jordan will shoot the technical. Michael Jordan, not a very popular figure here in Detroit, as you might imagine.
Well, one of the few people that was willing to be outspoken about his feelings regarding Detroit. And, you know, Chuck had tried to send his message to the officials through the newspapers earlier today. So perhaps Hugh Evans didn't appreciate that very much.
Well, Chuck's saying that Phil Jackson has been so effective in doing that in the past. Scottie Pippen, and the Bulls now lead it by the score of 6-4. There's Chuck Daly saying that the Bulls are getting the calls, getting the breaks. In particular, Michael Jordan. Thomas, foul, took a push. And a sarcastic reaction from the crowd on that foul that was called on Cartwright.
Chuck Daly with a little nod as Isaiah takes the lane, and Isaiah definitely is going to have to force the action. Eventually, when they close down on Isaiah, he then will begin to find his open teammates for easy spot-up shots.
Isaiah Thomas making it back from the cut above the left eye, which required 40 stitches, the result of that Karl Malone elbow. Since that incident, the Pistons have been on a tear. They have won 12 and lost 2. However, Isaiah misses both foul shots. 2 minutes have gone by, and we've already had an explosive moment with the Bulls up by the score of 6-4. Jordan's first attack. Michael Jordan drilling it home to give the Bulls an 8-4 lead.
At the offensive end, if you point to one thing about the Bulls that makes them so tough, it's the ability of Jordan and Pippen to make the perimeter shot.
And Dumars draws the foul. Michael Jordan called for his first. So Joe Dumars to the free throw line.
At one point during the season when the Pistons were really struggling, that 9-13, 10-14 record, Chuck Daly made a decision. I'm putting the pressure on my backcourt. I'm going to them much more, leaving them on the floor more minutes, and making Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas produce. The result, the start of the winning streak, and a very productive backcourt for the Pistons.
Detroit has been on a roller coaster. They opened the season at 4-1, and then went through a stretch winning only 6 of 19, followed by this current streak where they've taken 12 out of the last 14. Bulls with an 8-6 lead. Here's Grant. Yes, so Chicago has come out and hit its first 4 shots from the field.
Yeah, the Bulls just seem to keep developing the next guy. The star was Jordan. Then suddenly the next all-star was Pippen. And now the third guy emerging is Grant for the Bull team.
Woolridge rejected by Grant. Paxson on the pull-up. Yes, make it 5 for 5 for the Bulls, who now lead it by the score of 12-6. Well, Horace Grant has had an outstanding season. He's averaged 15 a game, 10 rebounds, second of the NBA in shooting percentage. Here's Thomas. Isaiah Thomas with the strong move along the baseline, and then was able to get it up over Cartwright. The Bulls 12 and the Pistons 8. Chicago 5 for 5 from the field. Woolridge did not go for the Pippen fake. Now Rodman switching to Pippen. Woolridge guarding Cartwright. Laimbeer jumps out. 3 on the shot clock. Make it 6 for 6 for the Bulls.
Well, we can see that when Pippen has the basketball, if they set sudden screens for pick and rolls, that Detroit is switching. No trap on Pippen, but a switch.
Dumars trying to go left, had the lane cut, but a foul. And that is the second called on Jordan.
And Michael Jordan looked over at the bench, gave him a hand signal saying, I'm okay, I understand I have 2 early fouls. Relax, I won't get in foul trouble. At least any more foul trouble.
And Jordan with the steal. Thomas is back. Jordan gives it up. Paxson, yes. 7 for 7 for the Bulls, who now lead 16-8.
When Paxson has that stroke down, you see it coming out of his hand, and you think that it's going in every time. The rotation is near perfect on the basketball.
Woolridge setting the pick, and now Jordan switches off. Ran over to help out. Shot clock is at 4. Laimbeer for 3. And Jordan rebounds. Here's Pippen going glass. First miss of the day for the Bulls after hitting their first 7 field goal attempts. Thomas and Dumars at the guards. Woolridge up front with Lane Beer and Rodman. Shot clock at 5. Here's Dumars. And Rodman able to keep it alive. Dennis Rodman averaging 17 rebounds per game. Woolridge shoots. And the Pistons now struggling.
They really need the other people, meaning the Woolridges and Rodmans and the guys off the bench, to step up and score, because 2 of the best defensive players in the league, Jordan and Pippen, are matched up against 2 of the guys that Detroit counts on for scoring.
Here is Grant. Isaiah had a notion to run, but the Bulls got back. Here's Woolridge. And he was hacked. Orlando Woolridge to the foul line. And a timeout has been called. Foul called on Horace Grant. 6:17 to go in the first. Physical confrontation. The animosity between Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, and Michael and the Detroit Pistons has been dealt with extensively. And earlier, I talked about this with Michael, and I asked his expectations for today's game.
I'm pretty sure I can expect it. You never want to see it, but I can expect it. And you know, as professionals, we have to turn a face and keep playing it and focus on why we're here. But if we ever feel threatened, if I feel threatened, then certainly I got to stand up for what I believe in. I'm never going to let them intimidate me to that point. But I think as a team, we still try to go out and play the game as cleanly as possible, but yet we got to defend ourselves in all respects.
Hey, let's go back to last year's playoff when Michael Jordan was maybe the first player to take a hard foul against Joe Dumars to try and set the tempo, set the pace, and let everybody know we're here to play.
Yes, he made a statement, and that was a very physical series. Orlando Woolridge on the line as we resume. He is a 68% free throw shooter, averaging 12 points per game in his 11th year out of Notre Dame. He was acquired from Denver in the deal for Scott Hastings and a future second-round draft pick, and he has emerged as a valuable member of the Detroit Pistons, now regularly in the starting lineup. Pistons go to the light pressure. Bulls 16 and the Pistons 10 halfway through the first quarter. There's Cartwright. Crowd wanted a back-in foul. Miscommunication leading to the turnover.
It's interesting how good both these teams are at the defensive end of the floor. In their recent streaks, both teams have made a statement and even stepped up their already very good team defense. The pressure forces turnovers.
Michael Jordan. Chicago Bulls came out by hitting their first 7 field goal attempts. Dumars off the spin. So Detroit within 4. Here's Pippen. And the Bulls have now missed their last 5 after hitting their first 7. Woolridge cuts it for 2.
Well, the Pistons knew that Woolridge would give him the ability to get some easy baskets in the open floor if he could get out and run those lanes, providing they could defensive rebound.
There's Pippen. Changed his mind, met by Lane Beer. Rodman with the good box out.
One of the concerns of Detroit was the matchup. Woolridge trying to guard Pippen. He knows it's a big assignment for them. If you take Rodman off him, somebody's got to step up and play him tough.
Oh, gorgeous pass from Thomas. And Rodman has tied the game at 16. 8 consecutive points for Detroit. Grant tried to set the pick, and Michael Jordan gives the Bulls a 2-point lead. Chicago, after hitting 7 in a row, had missed its last 6. We're coming up on 4 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad from the Palace of Auburn Hills. Dumars off the dribble, got the step. Dumars on the recovery.
Rebound, Lambier.
For years, the Pistons have prided themselves in rebounding. Chuck Daly says it's the #1 thing to being a winning team, winning franchise. They're on the glass today.
Game tied at 18. Here's Grant forced out of position by Lambier. Dumars for Woolridge. Detroit 20 and Chicago 18. And Phil Jackson wants to talk it over.
Use a lot of two-man plays, pick-and-roll basketball. Dennis Rodman comes over, sets the screen. Isaiah Thomas will try and come off and make something happen. Here's the screen. Isaiah clears the screen. And now, right now, Michael Jordan gets caught with two players. Which one's he going to take? Jordan selects the wrong one because he leaves Rodman wide open for the score.
So the Detroit Pistons, off a 12-2 run over the last 3 minutes and 45 seconds, have worked their way into the lead. Michael Jordan will sit down. He picked up the 2 early fouls. B.J. Armstrong, local product out of Detroit, in fact had to garner 20 tickets for today's game, has checked in along with Bobby Hansen. Phil Jackson going to the bench in this first quarter. Cartwright working in. Bill Cartwright using the extension against Dennis Rodman.
And I would expect them to keep going back to Cartwright as long as he's in there, trying to use Dennis Rodman, trying to put more fouls on Dennis Rodman.
Game is tied at 20, just under 3 minutes remaining. In the first quarter, Hansen called for the pushing foul on Dumars. Bobby Hansen in his 9th year out of Iowa. He's made it back from shoulder and knee injuries, played only 36 games with Sacramento last year, 7 years with Utah, then on to Sacramento and now Chicago.
Yeah, and it's unusual. You associate Hansen with a guy who comes in and makes shots and shots from downtown. Then you look at his free throw percentage, and Hansen's shooting only 36% from the foul line. It's kind of unusual.
Yeah, he has struggled in the past at the line, but not quite like this.
That time you saw Dumars almost isolated out at the top of the circle. Basically what Chuck Daly is saying is, you can't guard my guy off the dribble. We're going to break you down and make a teammate come over to help.
And one of the reasons for the recent Detroit turnaround has been the turn by Joe Dumars on the trap. Pippen in trouble, and he's forced into a travel.
Unusual to see Detroit extending its defense, being the aggressor, putting the pressure on Chicago. They've been ready for this one now.
So Detroit takes over. They lead by 2 with 2:40 remaining in this first quarter. That's the first Chicago turnover of the day. Cartwright switching off. Dumars watched by Hansen. And the foul is called. Once again, it's Hansen. And it puts Chicago over the limit.
Detroit extending its defense, get the man to turn his back, come and double team, and take a shot at a rotation for a steal. Instead, the travel and turnover.
I mentioned the turn of Joe Dumars. He was struggling early this season, but over the last 17 games, Dumars has averaged better than 25 points per game. So he is back to all-star caliber play, although Michael Jordan recently asked about the Pistons not doing well in all-star balloting, and this a statement that was very well appreciated in this area. He said that nobody likes Detroit. Thus adding another subplot to today's game. And he also said, well, Detroit's guards not playing well, but that was earlier, before both Thomas and Dumars had been able to get back onto their game.
Well, the pressure defense that time got Chicago out of its half-court offense. A hurried shot that time by Bill Cartwright produces another shot opportunity now for Detroit.
Dumars looking to take it at Hansen. Woolridge. Yes.
You can see what happens if you break down the defensive guard off the dribble and someone rotates over from Chicago to help out. It leaves a man open on the offensive boards to get second shot opportunities for the Pistons.
10 points for Orlando Woolridge. good. Pistons lead 26-20. B.J. Armstrong. And Rodman with the rebound. That is his 5th rebound of this first quarter. Here's Thomas. Yes. Pistons by 8.
Does it look familiar? Guard to the basket, guard to the basket, guard to the basket.
And the Bulls take a 20.
Isaiah saw the seam, and not many better than getting to that seam quickly, and then the big thing at the end, can you finish and convert? Now, very soon, I expect to see Phil tell his basketball team, hey, look, let's back off, and let's make these guards make shots from the outside. Keep in mind, Isaiah's shooting just 44% from the floor. Dumar's just over 45% from the floor. Let's make them beat us from the outside rather than getting to the rim.
Well, the Bulls got off to the explosive start. They hit their first 7 shots, and they've gone the other way. Detroit in the midst of a 20-4 run the last 5 minutes and 45 seconds, and the Pistons now lead it by 8. Scottie Pippen. And Rodman starts the break. 3-on-2, and Dumar's lost it. B.J. Armstrong able to break it up, and let's see. Last touch by Chicago.
Dennis Rodman was so excited that time that he was leading the fast break. He had Isaiah on the right, Dumar's on the left, that he actually started taking off just inside the three-point line, got caught up in the air and couldn't decide which way to go with the pass.
Here's Stacey King checking in, replacing Bill Cartwright. Leads with 3 points. John Sally has come on for the first time. We're coming up on 1 minute remaining in this first quarter. Sally getting position, and he will go to the line.
Well, you can't ask for much more as far as John Sally trying to do it the right way. They say when you're close to the rim and there's a body coming after you, try to dunk the basketball. Sally makes his move, gets Grant up in the air, and tries to finish with the dunk, but the foul on the wrist there knocks it out of the way.
Foul committed by Pippen. His first. John Sally recently bothered by the flu. In his 6th year out of Georgia Tech. Earlier this season, he was in the starting lineup. Was not thrilled when Chuck Daly pulled him out as the Pistons were experimenting with different lineups. At one point had William Bedford as the starter. Bedford is currently on the injury list because of a sprained ankle.
Yeah, but yesterday when we talked to John, he was the first one to admit and said right away, look, we're back in our roles now. We know what we're supposed to be doing. As a result, the right guys know who's supposed to be taking shots, who's to rebound, who's to play defense. We're comfortable once again.
And again, Detroit goes to pressure, and it rattles the Bulls.
Well, there aren't too many teams that feel they can go out and pressure the Chicago Bulls. As a result, a lot of teams play defensively against this team. But Detroit has gone out after him. The long look down the floor, almost another steal for Detroit.
Here's a three-point attempt by Hansen. And the Bulls can't buy one after the good start. Thomas surprised Sally Woolridge on the recovery. Sally with the rebound. 35 seconds remaining in this first quarter, and the Pistons lead by 9. They have killed Chicago off the boards. They've out-rebounded the Bulls 17-4. Dumar's able to get it back. Shot clock at 4. And Grant gets to the rebound. We're down to 10 seconds in the quarter. Here's Pippen off the spin, picked off by Rodman. Final seconds of the quarter, and Dumar's puts it away.
That time after Dennis Rodman stole it, he had the presence to look up the floor and another turnover in the excitement by Chicago. Rodman had the presence to look at the shot clock, see how much time was left, and still make an accurate pass to Dumas.
Detroit gets it back with 2 and 4/10 seconds remaining in the quarter. They've surged to an 11-point lead. Oh, Dumas did not expect the pass. And that is the end of the first quarter here at the Palace. Detroit has scored the last 11 points. A 23-4 run. And NBA All-Star balloting comes to a close. It concludes today. Program that gives fans a chance to pick their starters for the 42nd annual All-Star game in Orlando. And here's how it's been going in the East. If it ends like this, that's the starting lineup. Jordan, Michael Adams in the backcourt, Charles Barkley, Larry Bird at the forwards, Patrick Ewing, the starting center. And a reminder, at the end of today's game, Mike and I will be selecting the Miller Genuine Draft Player of the game. Michael Jordan went out early after picking up 2 fouls. He's back on the floor. Cliff Livingston has come out for the first time. That's an illegal defense called against Detroit as we open up in this second quarter. Well, the Bulls opened up hitting their first 7 shots. They finish up 2 of their last 13 while the Pistons turned it around, and they close out with that 23-4 stretch and lead 31-20. Jordan was pushed. Marcus Dwyer and Darrell Walker have checked in for the first time, and Aguirre called for the foul. You look at this Detroit club, and they seem to be playing, at least right now, with more energy and much sharper than the Bulls.
Well, in fairness to the Bulls, this is Chicago's 3rd game as Michael hits the J and gets fouled by Darrell Walker. This is Chicago's 3rd game in the last 4 days. For Detroit, this is their first basketball game in 4 days. They're well rested, they're well prepared, they're sharp. Michael coming off the screen on the weak side of the floor, and Walker trying to go over the top of the screen is late in recovering. As a result, the foul on the jumper.
Although, would you agree, you never know how that will turn out?
No, if you count on that one, you're making a big mistake.
And you look at the Bulls' schedule, 3 of the next 4 at home. They're home for Phoenix Tuesday, Wednesday at Charlotte, and then these 2 clubs get together again next Friday in Chicago. Mark Aguirre hits on his first field goal attempt.
And that time after the free throw, Chicago tried to get into its full court defense, make something happen with some trapping, but Detroit's ready for that.
Here's Armstrong. And BJ gets the roll. That's his first bucket. Pistons 33 and the Bulls 25. And now the Bulls applying some pressure.
Chicago will use 3 different types. 1, an on-the-ball press after free throws. After free throws, a half-court trap. And then their regular full-court man-to-man pressure.
Sally fouled by Grant.
You know, talking to Chuck Daly yesterday, he mentioned to us that it took him a while to understand how to use these players. He had Walker in the starting lineup for a while. He had Sally in the starting lineup for a while. But you see here now with Walker back on the second unit, he knows who to look for. He knows who they want to go to. Basically, Chuck is using 8 people to play his basketball games, coming off the bench with Walker, with Sally, and Aguirre.
John Sally, 70% free throw shooter. 1 minute gone by in the second quarter. And the Pistons lead the Bulls 34-25. Detroit with a record of 22-16. They're 3rd in the Central Division. They're 10.5 games behind Chicago. They've won 5 in a row, 12 of the last 14.
Imagine winning 12 out of 14 and not gaining any ground, losing ground to Chicago, who's won 13 out of the last 14.
Cleveland Cavaliers, who come off the victory last night over the New York Knicks, are 6.5 behind the Bulls. They are in second place. Stacey King. Livingston kept it alive. King lost it. Armstrong with a wide open bomb. And the Pistons now lead by 7.
One of the best open shooters you'll find, B.J. Armstrong, and I really question how many people thought he could shoot the ball this well. Coming out of college, I think last season proved this guy makes open shots.
Yes, he matured last season, still learning the point guard role, but he's come a long way. Shot clock is at 5. Down to 3, Sally with a wild shot. Jordan guarded by Walker. Livingston on the rebound. And the foul call. Michael Jordan is now 3 out of 5. He has 8 points. Foul committed by Thomas. A timeout is called.
Silver Bullet is the right beer now. By the new Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. And by the Prudential. Come to the companies of the Prudential and build your future on the rocks.
Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills. Dennis Rodman off to an excellent start. 8 rebounds to this point. He's averaged 17 rebounds per game. Will Chamberlain, as you saw, at one point averaged better than 27 rebounds per game, which is unbelievable. Dennis Rodman at 17 and change, leading the NBA, and actually the 17 rebounds a game is the 3rd highest average in NBA history. B.J. Armstrong has had the touch, and the Bulls now down by 5. Chamberlain and Russell did better than 17 on a number of occasions, but that's the 3rd best average in the history of the league.
Yeah, we're talking about here a 6'8" player.
And we're not talking about a bulky 6'8". People marvel at the rebounding abilities of Charles Barkley, but he has a bit more heft going for him, even though he is maybe 6'4". Cliff Livingston has come off the bench to do a good job to keep the ball alive.
Yeah, another pretty good rebounder, a guy who understands his role and does what he has to help this team win. That's Cliff Livingston.
Bulls showing signs, 9-3 run, cutting that lead to 5. Here's Jordan from deep. Yes. And Michael Jordan has 10. The Pistons now lead 34-31.
The one thing about the Chicago team, they seem to have the ability to turn it on when they have to, and that guy Michael Jordan is the leader of the game.
Dumar's fortunate to play that ricochet. Here's Aguirre backing in. Forced it. Rodman getting to it. 5 on the shot clock. Aguirre. And the Pistons lead 36-31.
One thing Chicago does is always leave Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen on the floor. Phil never sits both of them down so that one of them is there to direct the second unit. You see that in the assist column, the 2 leading assist people for this team, Jordan and Pippen.
Dumar's trying to draw the foul. It's Darrell Walker. Walker accelerates and hands to Dumar.
Very reminiscent of what Dumars went through during that bad stretch. He said, I just couldn't even make layups. That's how bad it was.
Detroit is led by as many as 11. Stacey King off the head fake. And Rodman again. That's number 10.
The difference right now in Detroit's offense is without Isaiah and Dumars in together, Darrell Walker tends to pull the ball up. They're not breaking down the Bulls off the dribble as much. As a result, they're struggling at the offensive end to get easy shots.
Livingston on a switch, jumping out of Dumars. Aguirre from downtown. He's had his problems from three-point land. And Livingston called for the foul.
Yeah, that's one of those easy shots that Detroit's looking for. Break the guy down. That time Livingston got caught on Dumars and beat him off the dribble, kick to the open Aguirre.
Correction, it was Aguirre called for the foul. The Bulls with a combination of B.J. Armstrong and Michael Jordan in the backcourt. Livingston up front now with Scott Williams and Horace Grant. Michael Jordan. The officials checking it out, and Hugh Evans with the better look says last touch by Detroit.
There's one guy that Detroit knows they must trap back on in a low post. That's Michael Jordan. We'll keep an eye on him down low.
Timeout has been called. The Pistons lead by 5. Bounds. Counter is now up to 11, off to a terrific start. He's one of the most unique players in the history of the NBA in that he wants to defend and wants to rebound. And we talked about Dennis Rodman with his coach, Chuck Daly.
A special player, marvelously talented. I keep kidding him he's not in shape, but I'm playing him 47, 48 minutes. Then he goes in and rides a bike for an hour. He's one of those people. He's a gifted athlete. He's got great determination, great attitude, wants to win big time, and a fun guy to coach. I wish I had about 24 of them.
If he had 24, he'd have to cut 12. You realize that, Mike?
Oh, you're only allowed to have 12 this season.
Yeah, can't have 24. Just under 7 minutes to go in the second quarter, and the Pistons lead the Bulls by the score of 36-31.
You know, if Chuck had 24, there'd be 12 on the injured list. They're bringing him back one at a time.
What are we saying here?
Just kidding around.
Bill Lambier has returned up front with Sally and Aguirre. Lambier jumping out at Jordan. Scott Williams working inside, but he's called for a travel.
Again, you see the attention that Jordan commands. If he's down in the low post, they double team him. As he comes off the pick and roll, the screen, they jump out and double team him. The object, get the ball out of Michael's hands.
Pistons led by as many as 11. They are only 2 for 8 from the field in the second quarter. Chicago in the midst of an 11-5 run. It's been a game of streaks. The Bulls starting out by hitting their first 7 from the field and then went cold. Brent operating on Sally. Williams with the back tap.
That's the 7th offensive rebound this quarter as Michael Jordan knocks it out. 7th offensive rebound this quarter for the Bulls. What it's done is it's given them now 4 more shot attempts at the basket than Detroit. They're not shooting as well, but they're getting more shot opportunities.
And the Bulls are within 3. Jordan has 12 points. Aguirre eluding Livingston. So Mark Aguirre off the bench to hit 3 of 6 for 6 points. The Pistons 38 and the Bulls 33. 5.5 to go in the first half. Jordan does not like the hand check of Walker. Here's Armstrong going glass, and the Pistons now lead 38-35.
And when he made that shot, Michael Jordan pumped his fist in the air and nodded over to B.J. Armstrong as if to say, that's it, I'll find you, you knock him down.
Nice job off the bench by B.J. He's hit 4 out of 5 for 8 points. Aguirre backing Livingston. Here's Walker, and he was fouled. Oh, he goes at Williams. Darryl Walker did not like the foul. Darryl's always been a very feisty player, and he was quick to explode. And Brendan Malone, the Detroit assistant coach, quickly out of the floor to try and calm Walker down. He's claiming that he took a shot on the forehead.
And I have to chuckle because before the game, and Walker, who feels very comfortable inside close to the basket from his college days, takes it strong to the basket, and then he doesn't like the idea that Williams is going to pull him down. I'm laughing because before the game, as he was out shooting, I was talking to Darryl Walker, and I said, Darryl, expecting a physical encounter today? And he goes, hey, Mike, I already lost my $5,000 this year. I want no part of that.
Yeah.
And then he paused and said, but then again, you know, we're all crazy.
Yes. And it's a technical foul called on Walker. Oh, Michael Jordan with his 13th point. The Pistons 38 and the Bulls 36. .454 remaining in this first half, and now Walker will go to the line. Darryl Walker, back in '83, was a first-round draft pick for the New York Knicks. Played for the Knicks for 3 years. Then went on to play for Denver and Washington Bullets. Here's Rodman returning. Comes on for Sally. Last year, Darryl Walker led all NBA guards in rebounding. Also a very strong defensive player.
And it's been interesting that when he has come on the floor during the second quarter with that second unit, Detroit's defense, as good as it's been, has been even better. Recently giving up just under 17 points a quarter and holding their opponents to under 32% shooting. Walker a big part of that.
And overall, they are the #1 defensive team in the league, allowing just 97 points per game. Jordan working on Dumars, changed his mind. Here's Williams. Livingston on the follow, and the Piston lead is now 1.
Well, Phil Jackson has been up this entire basketball game on the officials. He understood what Chuck Daly was trying to do in the newspapers today, and he's trying to make his point.
Joe Dumars has played Michael Jordan very well. Here's Aguirre for 3. Jordan has said that Dumars gives him more trouble than anyone. Now Jordan drawing the double coverage and threw it away. Robin from Lambier.
Pistons must have spent about 10 minutes yesterday, skeleton offense, no defense, running their transition break. That was part of it. The trailer down the middle, they executed it to perfection.
The Bulls take a timeout with 3:37.
The play of Cliff Levingston, who's coming on playing very strong off the board. The thing they're worried about is Michael Jordan getting double teamed and being able to find the open man. They want Michael to try, if he can get the shot taken, if he gets a double team, try to find the open man.
All right, Ahmad, on the Chicago Bulls, after the good start, faltered, hit their first 7 from the floor, then Detroit came on, had that big run. But right now the Pistons lead by 3, 41-38. Ahmad mentioned Cliff Levingston off the boards, 5 rebounds in a short stint.
Well, it took a while last season before Phil Jackson developed the confidence in him, but when playoff time came, they used him, and Levingston produced.
Here's Cartwright, who just returned, and Lane Beer with the rebound. 3:20 to go in this first half. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, now Rashad from the palace of... It counts! Yes, and it counts. He flung it with the left hand as he was fouled. Wait a moment, are they not counting it out? Apparently he will not get the call on the continuation. What a shot by Isaiah Thomas. He does not get the call.
Well, that shot is still going to make a lot of the highlight films. You'll buy that down the road on some video somewhere, someplace.
Did not get the continuation call, so it was merely a foul. Here's Woolridge, and a contact in there, and also a traveling violation. So the Bulls take over, staying with B.J. Armstrong for a good portion of this first half. He's had the hot hand. Armstrong and Jordan at the guards. Up front, Pippen with Cartwright and Grant. Cartwright again played by Rodman. Finding Pippen. Scottie Pippen with his 3rd field goal. He has 6, and the Bulls trail by only 1.
When Chicago is executing its half-court offense, it's pretty to watch. There's ball movement, there's body movement, they play unselfishly.
Dumars for Woolridge. And Orlando Woolridge gets inside. He has 12 points. The Pistons lead 43-40.
Taking a page out of Chicago's offensive book, movement without the basketball, flashing to open spots, Woolridge wide open. The crowd reacting to what they thought was a double dribble out front.
And Michael Jordan, with his 6th field goal, he is 6 for 10 for 15 points. Apparently, the crowd felt that Pippen had begun the dribble, then stopped. He hesitated and started it again. That's an offensive foul. Dumars called for his first.
There's a large number of offensive fouls being called here during the course of a season. Perhaps you don't have, but a dozen maybe on your team here already. We've had 3 take place for the Pistons.
Minute 45 left in the first half. Michael Jordan with the pull-up. Rebounded by Grant. Pippen for 3. And a loose ball foul.
The ball went over the top of the backboard. The officials will award the ball to Detroit.
So the Pistons will get it back. It's Detroit 43 and the Bulls 42. Woolridge with the step. Yes, and it counts. He'll go to the line. Pippen called for the foul. What acceleration on that first step by Orlando Woolridge.
Normally this is a guard over here for Detroit going one-on-one. He has either way he can go to create the double team. This time in particular, it's Woolridge that they use to go one-on-one and beat the defense.
Not able to complete the three-point play. The Pistons 45 and the Bulls 42. Woolridge is the high man for Detroit with 14. Dumars has 10. Jordan leading the Bulls with 15. And a foul called, offensive foul on Cartwright, his second.
That high pick and roll, Bill stepping out, setting the big screen. That time they felt he was moving as the defensive player tried to come over.
Phil Jackson very unhappy
about that call. Had some words with the official, Ronnie Nunn. Just under 1 minute remaining in the first half. And Pippen with the steal. Dumar's able to slow him down. Here's Pippen for Armstrong. Tipped home. Let's see what the call is here. Lane Beer wants to know what the call is and just threw a technical foul. Still no official indication.
You know, normally this is something that you would see happen to other teams. They would become frustrated with the play of the Pistons. As a result, you see technical fouls take place. They lose their cool. Right now, Chicago hanging in there when Detroit took the early lead. Now suddenly we see the reaction by the Detroit players.
Now apparently the basket did not count. A loose ball foul was called. Here's another look at it.
Well, after the scramble, there's some indecision here. As the whistle goes off, everyone is not sure, and there was not an immediate signal by the officials. That's what got the Pistons upset.
And Lambeer hit with a technical. Jordan hits the tee. The Pistons lead 45-43. Chicago still asking why the basket did not count. A moment ago, Detroit did not get the call on a continuation when Isaiah Thomas fired one up with the left hand. So no basket, but the Bulls to the line with 46 seconds remaining in the half.
And because it put Detroit, over the bonus or into the penalty defensively, the foul had taken place before the shot attempt. Therefore, they're going to the free throw line now and will shoot their 1+1.
B.J. Armstrong. He is an excellent free throw shooter at 86%. The Bulls down by 1 and now go to pressure. Now the Bulls drop back. Dumars and Thomas at the guards. Woolridge, Rodman, and Lambeer up front. Cartwright jumping out on a switch. Now Thomas puts the move on Grant.
Here it is, another offensive foul off the dribble by Detroit.
Isaiah with 3 fouls. 30 seconds to go in this first half.
Isaiah felt he had Grant on the move, leaned into him, tried to get the body contact. Instead, the official felt Grant had the good angle and position.
Well, it has been a rugged first half. We had a couple of technical fouls, one on Chuck Daly, one on Bill Lambeer. Tempers did flare. Offensive foul again. That's 3 on Jordan. What do you make of this? It is so unusual to see that many offensive fouls.
Well, you want consistency. If you're going to let a guard back over the top of somebody, then let them do it at both ends of the floor. If you're not, they're called the same. I think that's all the players and the coaches want is the consistency.
Michael Jordan upset, and he hears it from the crowd. Look out. Dumars with a very fine recovery. Final seconds of the half. Pistons lead by 1. Rodman for 3. Walker claims he was fouled. No call by Chicago. And a first half that was rugged, intensely played. A first half that featured 3 technical fouls and 2 flare-ups.
Yeah, 5 offensive fouls called. People are taking the ball to the basket off the dribble. And right from the beginning of this basketball game, it was confrontational. It was physical. Even after scores, we see that the players were so keyed up and excited about this game that trying to take the ball out of bounds, Cartwright and Rodman almost get into it initially. And then when Detroit goes to its bench and you bring in a guy like Darryl Walker, Darryl doesn't exactly shy away, from the battle. So he himself gets a little shove in and winds up with a technical foul and tries to establish the fact that we're here, it's going to be physical, and you better put your helmet on because it's going to be that type of game.
Well, Detroit has lost its last 6 meetings to Chicago. They lead by 1 as we head to the second half. A 1-point lead over the Chicago Bulls. Pistons 45 and the Bulls 44. The Chicago Bulls come in as the top shooting team in the NBA, 51%. However, in the first half, only 19 for 43, 44%.
Well, one of the reasons why Chicago shoots such a high percentage is their defense usually produces a lot of transition scores, easy baskets. First half, what happened? Only 8 free throw attempts. They couldn't get in their press.
And a very impressive stat line for Dennis Rodman, who leads the NBA, averaging 17 rebounds per game.
Most impressive because you know that Chicago is a very active team. They're going to concentrate, focus on Rodman today. He's still got his 11 this half.
And the leading scorer is Michael Jordan, who has 3 fouls, 6 for 11 for his 16. Orlando Woolridge, in 16 minutes, has hit 6 of 9 for 14. Joe Dumars has 10. Cartwright, yes, and it counts. So Cartwright will go to the foul line.
And not a real smart foul that time by Dennis Rodman. He gives away too much size to Bill Cartwright. He's not going to block the shot off the jumper because Cartwright holds it high over his head and fades a little bit. He gets him on the arm right there because he reaches out instead of reaching up.
So the Bulls have taken the lead. It's the Bulls 47 and the Pistons 45. Chicago Bulls opened up by hitting their first 7 field goal attempts. Then they went cold. Detroit came on. Detroit closed the first quarter with a 23-4 run. Here's Thomas and Michael Jordan to the rebound. The Bulls with Jordan and Paxson at the guards. Cartwright, Pippen, and Trent are up front. Dumars staying with Jordan off the head fake. Now Jordan from the baseline. He did not have the move left. He went right and was able to hit the jumper. The Bulls lead by 4, and this capacity crowd trying to get the Pistons revved up. Thomas playing with 3 fouls. Ian Dumars at the guards. Lane Beer up front with Woolridge. And Rodman, 6 points for Isaiah Thomas. The Bulls lead it by 2.
Third quarters have been big for Chicago offensively. Down at Cleveland, they have a big third quarter.
And Lane Beer hit the deck. But he committed the foul.
And then most recently against San Antonio at home, down by 9 at the half. They come out and explode during the third quarter, so they seem to be able to turn it up at halftime.
Lane Beer called for his second. John Paxson did not play much in the first half. That's because of the good shooting of B.J. Armstrong. Paxson with only 9 minutes and hit 3 of 3 from the field. Here's Woolridge. Orlando Woolridge doing it from all angles.
Whenever Orlando Woolridge during his career has been put in isolations, you always told your players, back off, make him make jump shots. If he starts doing that, you're in big trouble because he's real good off the dribble.
And Jordan got bottled up by Dumars. Finds the open man. Paxson. The Bulls lead it 51-49.
Designated shooter. Just find him and he knocks him out.
John Paxson, the perfect compliment to Michael Jordan. Had that blistering finish of the NBA final, scoring 10 points the final 4 minutes. Rodman on a putback. His third field goal, he has 6. So the Pistons and the Bulls are tied at 51. Well, Cartwright and Rodman making contact. Rodman fronting Cartwright. So the spin move by Cartwright. Cartwright off the fake. Call for the travel.
You know, one thing is you go back through Bill Cartwright's career, he only winds up inevitably taking X number of shots per game. He's not a guy that you say, hey, we're going to get 24, 25 shots out of Cartwright. It just doesn't happen. 8, 9, 10 a game. So that's why Detroit isn't worried with Rodman on him. They just feel they're not going to go to him that much.
Lane Beer. Woolridge getting back defensively, not allowing Pippen that baseline move. Rodman jumping out. Now Woolridge guarding Cartwright. 3 minutes gone by in the third. Jordan.
Nice move that time by Chicago. They knew that Detroit wanted to trap Jordan, so what they did is they slipped the screen. Never let Jordan get to it. The screener just rolled out of there early.
Woolridge did not expect the pass, and the ball was kicked.
Fresh, 24.
New 24 given to Detroit. Dumars with the back tap. 8.5 to go in the third. The game is tied at 51. And Rodman on the follow. It counts and the foul.
Interior passing from big man to big man. Beautiful basketball to watch. And that time, Dennis Rodman ran over to the bench alongside Phil Jackson as Rodman dishes inside to Lambier and then winds up getting the deuce and a possible three. And over at the table, Rodman ran over to put some rosin on his hands, and as he got to the table, Phil Jackson took the rosin and dumped it on the floor behind the bench so that Dennis couldn't dry his hands off.
Little playfulness here between Phil Jackson and Dennis Rodman. And Rodman now has 9 points. The offense is all a bonus. 12 rebounds, 9 points for Rodman. Detroit leads by 3. And Rodman again off the board. Here is Woolridge. Grant feeling around for Lambier. Pippen, yes, and the Pistons lead at 54-53.
One of the many options off of Chicago's triangle half-court offense is that if the ball hits the post, you run a split off it. That time the screen set by Jordan, the shooter, Pippen wide open, knocked it out.
Shot clock at 5. Rodman. Oh, it's one of those games for Dennis Rodman. He comes in averaging only about 9 per game. Cartwright lost it. He thought he was fouled. Good look from Woolridge. Lambier. Pippen is down. Scottie Pippen able to hit on the breakaway.
And that's one of the problems that Detroit faces with Pippen matched up against Lambier. As soon as his shot goes up, Pippen takes off, runs deep into the backcourt, and looks for the long pass. Tough for Bill to keep up with him.
Dumars. Joe Dumars has been off. He is now 2 for 11. He broke out of a mild slump against Indiana the other night with 23 points. Will be Detroit ball. 6:18 to go in the third. It's the Pistons over the Bulls by 1.
Exclusive interview with Larry Bird coming up at halftime of today's second game.
If potato chips are going to cross your lips, keep them fresh, make them fine all the time. That's Pringles. Pop the Pringles. Not like chips in a bag. They don't stay fresh. It's a drag. Candles bagged with buster pieces. Get your hands full of greases. We've got whole crunchy chips, clean and crispy to your lips. Pringles, pop the Pringles. Go for fresh because Pringles got them. Fresh, pop right to the bottom. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Everyone has a dream, a vision deep inside.
When I decide to follow up on an investing idea, I need a broker who's ready when I am.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
I can call Schwab at any hour, nights or weekends, get the information I need, even place an order to trade.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
Jeep Cherokee Sport is the perfect vehicle for traveling America's most famous roads. Like Wall Street, Pacific Coast Highway, Park Avenue, and, of course, Sunset Boulevard.
Now drive for the gold and save an additional $1,500 on new Jeep Cherokees.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite, the great beer that's less filling. It's it, and that's that. By Jeep and Eagle, a division of the Chrysler Corporation, proud sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. And by Pringles, so fresh, once you pop, you can't stop.
Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills. Capacity crowd 21,454 on hand. Every regular season and playoff game played here at the Palace over the first 4 years of its existence has been a sellout. This the 172nd consecutive sellout. And to this point, Dennis Rodman even offensively holding his own with Scottie Pippen.
Well, there's no question about it that Rodman's been on a roll this year, and today everything is falling in place for him.
Dennis Rodman with 13 rebounds and 11 points. Pistons lead it by 1. Woolridge. Orlando Woolridge has 18.
Taking it to the basket is what he does best. You must keep him from penetrating in the lane.
Orlando celebrating that 2-year contract extension. Here is Jordan. And he's fouled by Dumars. That's the second on Dumars. The contract extension will start after next season at a reported 2 years for $5 million for Orlando Woolridge.
Well, perhaps he was rewarded for the recent surge by the Pistons. 12 out of the last 14 games, W's since he's been back in the starting lineup. Very productive.
Michael Jordan has 19 points, but now the question is, will the signing of Woolridge anger Mark Aguirre, who also wanted his contract redone? Aguirre's been saying no, but feels the Pistons' willingness to talk with Woolridge is an indication that Aguirre will be traded at the end of the season. Cartwright called for the loose ball foul. And that is number 3 on Cartwright. Talks between Aguirre and the Pistons have not been going on, and we're told nothing is planned.
And there's no question that it did affect Mark Aguirre earlier in the season. He went through his mood swings, and it was something that Chuck Daly and the team had to deal with.
Here is Woolridge. Lambier, and he'll go to the line. Paxson picking up his first.
Orlando taking it to the basket, stopping short of picking up another offensive foul, and then Lambier, as he has done for so many years, weak side rebounder, gets that body position, holds his ground.
He's an 85% free throw shooter. It's the Pistons 59 and the Bulls 56. Detroit has won 5 in a row, 7 of 8, 12 of its last 14. Chicago with a record of 32 and 5, the best record in the NBA, and they have won 8 straight, 13 of the last 14. 2 other hot clubs getting together as the second part of our NBA doubleheader, with Phoenix playing Portland. That'll be after the Bulls and the Pistons. Tom Hammond, Steve Jones will bring it to you. Michael Jordan. That's 21 for Jordan, and the Bulls trail by 2.
The intentions of Detroit are that when Michael Jordan is down low posting up, they want to double team him. The problem is the double team is not coming quick enough.
Jordan getting a piece of it. Dumars with the recovery. Thomas rejected by Pippen. Isaiah Thomas stays with Scottie Pippen. Thomas and Jordan each have 3 fouls. Jordan, again, thought he was in the same spot, went just off the mark as he tried to bank it. And it will be Detroit ball.
Right now, Detroit can't figure out, because of what Chicago has done in diving people through and clearing the area out, Detroit hasn't figured out yet where they want to come from on the double team.
Paxson got picked off. 4.5 remaining in the third. Woolridge going to work on Grant. Dumars with the box out. Lambier to the hook. 8 points for Bill Lambier.
And still trying new tricks. You never worried about Bill Lambier making a back-to-the-basket move, but during practice and after yesterday, you saw him actually working on that. After practice, a little one-on-one. He used it today.
The Pistons lead it by 4. Dumars right in the face of Michael Jordan. Detroit with the ball and a 4-point lead. Thomas off the crossover. Oh, spectacular move by Isaiah Thomas, providing the Pistons with a 6-point advantage.
And Phil Jackson complaining about the type of screens that Detroit is setting.
Michael Jordan answering. So Jordan has 23, and the Bulls trail by 4. Michael Jordan, incidentally, took a shot to the face the other night of the game against San Antonio. Took it from his teammate, Scottie Pippen. Thomas had it knocked away by Cartwright. Here's Paxson with Pippen. And John Paxson able to cash in on that steal.
Normally 2-on-1, you hope to get a layup. Paxson says, nah, I'll just shoot a 16-footer and knock it down.
The other night against San Antonio, Pippen's elbow caught Jordan. Jordan actually went to the hospital for precautionary x-rays, but he is all right. It's just a facial bruise. Dumars. Let's see what the call is here.
Offensive foul, Joe Dumars.
It is an offensive foul. That's his third. And a timeout taken with 2 minutes and 39 seconds remaining in the third.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eagle Snacks presents.
Well, you recall at the time of the selection of the United States Olympic basketball team, there was much made concerning Michael Jordan allegedly keeping Isaiah Thomas off the team. And Scottie Pippen then was quoted as saying if Thomas is selected for the Olympic team, he would not play. A subject that we discussed earlier with Scottie.
You know, I was pretty mad after the game that we played him early this season in Chicago. And, you know, speaking on that subject right now, I mean, I doesn't care whether or not he play. I mean, I wish him all the luck, but at that time I was pretty frustrated.
Could you be comfortable with him as a teammate?
Yeah, sure.
Well, a little turnaround by Scottie Pippen.
I'm happy for Scottie because with Chuck Daly coaching the team, if Isaiah should be on it, he might be looking for a small forward in the one.
And Michael Jordan has tied the game at 64-25 for Jordan. 2 minutes, 20 seconds to go. In the third, Darrell Walker has returned, so Walker in the backcourt. Look out, Thomas lost his back. Oh, Thomas with a shove on Paxson. And that is his 4th foul.
It's unfortunate because as he was popping out to free himself right there, he slips and falls down, and in trying to save the ball, Paxson being aggressive going after it, Isaiah with a takedown, 2 points for a takedown.
Well, Mike, there has been no change at all in the philosophical differences between these two clubs. We have had 3 incidents, 3 technical fouls. Michael Jordan able to recover.
6 offensive fouls.
Here's Jordan. Yes. And the Bulls lead by the score of 66-64. Pressure from Pippen, and he draws the foul. That is his third. A rundown of the foul trouble. 3 apiece on Pippen, Cartwright, Grant, and Jordan. For the Pistons, Thomas with 4. Dumars has 3. And they are over the limit. Isaiah Thomas sitting down, leads with 10 points. Now check that 8 points on 4 out of 8 from the field. And Joe Dumars, who has struggled from the field, 2 of 11, will go to the line, but he's 6 for 6 from the foul line.
A lot of guys struggle when a guy named Michael Jordan is playing against you defensively. He's like a glove. He challenges shots. He has long extension on his arms and hands. So it's not easy to free yourself against him.
Plus, he has to be concerned at the other end in guarding Jordan. In this case, that is the matchup.
I think Byron Scott felt the effects of that during the playoffs, the championship series last year.
A minute 50 remaining in this third quarter. The Bulls lead by 1. Jordan and Paxson at the guards. Grant, Cartwright, and Pippen up front. the fake, but Rodman able to step out. Jordan to three. And it will be Detroit ball.
And a little bit of rest, at least defensively, for Joe Dumars by bringing Walker in, who is big, strong, can use up fouls. They will put him on Michael Jordan now, and then you saw the trap when the pick and roll took place.
Dumars and Walker at the guards. Rodman with Woolridge and Lambier on the front line. Here is Dumars. And Cartwright able to hustle it down. Coming up on 1 minute remaining in the third. Pippen from deep. Bulls by 1 as we wind down in the third quarter. Lambier, Mark Aguirre getting set to make his return. Jordan from downtown. Neither club able to hit from long range. Bulls 0 for 4. Detroit 0 for 4 from three-point land.
It's like rounds 7, 8, and 9 during a heavyweight fight. They get a little weary in there. They need to catch their second breath, both teams, as they come down the stretch.
You're into the boxing motif this afternoon. Walker. And back come the Bulls. Final seconds of the third. Paxson. Yes. And Chicago leads by 3. Woolridge has to fire. After 3 at the Palace. The Bulls 68 and the Pistons 65. We'll be back after these. The Palace capacity crowd on hand. Outdoors. We're down to 2 degrees, Mike. I know that you have been wearing the ear laps today, which have looked very nice. As we head to the fourth quarter, the Bulls in front of the Pistons by the score of 68 to 65. Bulls outscoring the Pistons 24-20 in the third quarter. And it's been all Michael Jordan in the matchup with Joe Dumars. Jordan's had to work hard for those points. 11 for 22, while Dumars only 2 out of 12 from the field.
Well, it's one of those nights where Joe has struggled a little bit, has not been able to knock down his open shot. Most effective early when he was putting it on the floor, taking it off the dribble. But Michael's kind of taken that away most recently.
Dumars and Walker open in the backcourt. Aguirre back on with Sally and Rodman. Small front line for the Pistons. Isaiah Thomas sitting down after picking up his 4th foul. Shot clock at 5. Aguirre. Yes. Mark Aguirre has 8 points. And the Pistons are within 1.
The problem with Aguirre doing that is when he catches the ball and holds it that long, everybody's running cuts around the floor, but the offense then stops. It puts tremendous pressure to have to make a shot at the end with the shot clock running down.
Here's Pippen over Sally. Jordan missed the tip. Grant had it stripped by Sally. And Grant, looks like he hurt a finger. Grant indicating he wants to hang in, but Phil Jackson looking down the bench for Scott Williams. Opening minute, fourth quarter. Detroit with the ball trailing by 1. Aguirre. And the Pistons maintain possession.
With the loss of James Edwards, who has now moved on to the Los Angeles Clippers, Mark Aguirre becomes basically the best post-up player for Detroit, and most effective down there, most comfortable, particularly when he played those years in Dallas, but he's small to be posted up.
Scott Williams replacing Horace Grant, who was shaken up a moment ago. Scott Williams, the second-year man from North Carolina, signed as a free agent, did a nice job in the playoffs last year. Aguirre again, air ball. And the foul called as Cliff Livingston came away with it. That's number 3 on Aguirre.
And Aguirre is saying, look, if you're going to call that little tic-tac foul on me there for just putting my arms up and having a little contact, then call it on me when I'm shooting the basketball and let me get 2 free throws out of it.
John Paxson and Michael Jordan at the guards. Cliff Livingston, Scott Williams, Scottie Pippen up front. The Bulls 68 and the Pistons 67. Pippen Got it knocked away by Walker. Good play, and they will jump it up.
Darryl Walker with excellent hands. You put it on the floor near him, he's going to stick a hand in there, get a piece of it, come up with a steal, or in this case, at least an opportunity on the jump ball. Quick hands, down in there, strong hands.
Fourth steal of the day by Detroit. Chicago with 3. Here's Paxson. That's 2-point range. Dumars setting up as Aguirre looks to post up on Livingston.
Right now what's happened is the spacing for Detroit is not good. There's not enough space between their offensive players.
Here's Sally, grabbed by Williams. That's number 2 for Scott Williams. And a timeout has been taken with 9:45 remaining in the fourth quarter. The Bulls lead by a point.
New cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By Intel, the computer inside. And by Snickers Bar, the official snack food sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team.
When we talk about spacing on offense, we mean the distance between 2 offensive players on the same team. Right now, you can see Michael Jordan can play both people. He can play Dumars with the ball. If Dumars had stepped back behind the three-point line, there'd be a greater distance. As a result, Dumars is having a tough time feeding the ball into the post area. In this particular case, Aguirre down low.
Down by 1 early in this fourth quarter. The word on Horace Grant, who sat down a moment ago, jammed finger on his left hand. Horace has been very quiet, though, this afternoon. Aguirre, and he drew the foul. So Mark Aguirre will go to the line for the first time. It's a hold. Well, Grant, who just checked back in, was called for his 4th.
And this was almost the 7th offensive foul of the game right there as Aguirre lowers the left shoulder and makes his way to the basket. But there's no question who Chuck Daly is trying to get off in this quarter. The last 4 times the ball has been in the hands of Mark Aguirre, trying to rest Dumars a little bit on the floor at the offensive end.
Mark Aguirre at 75% from the line. Look at the foul rundown. Grant now with 4, 3 apiece on Pippen, Cartwright and Jordan. Thomas with 4, and 3 on Dumars and Aguirre. Chicago Bulls have won 8 in a row. Their last loss, January 3rd in Milwaukee. Beaten by the Bucks 113-108, despite Michael Jordan scoring 44 points. They had won their previous 6. Pistons lead by 1. Here's Jordan. Loose ball foul. And the outside official, Ted Bernhardt, making the call. It's on Scott Williams of Chicago.
Well, one of the reasons that you go so hard to the glass is when Jordan tries to take people off the dribble. You saw Sally fly by him. You saw Dumars trying to guard him. It allows people on the Bulls to go to the offensive boards and come up with second shots. That time a little bit too aggressive.
Paxson got picked off. Walker could not take advantage. And that a leg block, so the Pistons get the new 24. Here comes B.J. Armstrong, who had the hot hand in the first half at 7 points. John Paxson sitting down. Dumars pops. Joe Dumars with his first field goal in quite some time. He's now 3 for 13 from the field.
But he's a guy who will take a big shot and make it. The other night, a great game here by Dallas, but with 1.8 seconds remaining, score tied. Dumars shoots a 3 to win it.
We've gone 3.5 minutes of the fourth, and the Bulls have not scored in the fourth quarter. Oh, look out. Sally with a terrific play.
And the blockouts are almost picture perfect here. Both teams respecting the ability of the other team on the glass.
Here's Aguirre. Grant with the save. Armstrong looks to break, but the Pistons got back. Detroit has outscored Chicago 6-0 here in the fourth. Walker nearly picked it out of the hands of Jordan.
And Darrell Walker came from behind Jordan on the baseline that time. Watch the block out. Sally looks for his man, puts a body on, and rises up. That's the way you do it in practice.
The Bulls taking a timeout. 7:49 remaining in the fourth quarter.
There's a hunger inside you, and it won't go away. There's a hunger inside you, growing stronger every day.
Snickers Bar, the official snack food sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. Packed with fresh roasted peanuts, thick milk chocolate, and caramel, Snickers satisfies the hunger inside you. There's a hunger inside me. There's a hunger inside you.
6 o'clock Friday night, there's nothing I could...
Vacation time. Road trip. Whose car?
No, not mine.
Oh, you got the four-door.
Four-door Tercel.
There's only 3 of us.
We'll need the room.
Starting at around $8,800, it's Toyota's lowest price four-door sedan.
Okay, my car, my rules.
Okay.
First, no eating in it. No messing around in the car. And when we get back...
You both help me wash it.
New four-door Tercel, because your values have changed, but your friends haven't.
Had this doozy of a sore throat. Know what my doc suggested? Psst, psst. Chloroseptic. I actually felt the pain go away in seconds.
Because Chloroseptic penetrates on contact for fastest relief. More doctors say Chloroseptic spray.
If your face were square, shaving would be simple, but your face has curves. You need the Schick Tracer, with a blade that flexes to put more of the blade edge against your skin. Tracer from Schick traces every curve on your face.
It's great golf and great fun with the king of comedy himself. Live final round coverage of the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic today on NBC.
Well, coming up next, Game 2 of our NBA doubleheader. Portland has won 4 straight. Phoenix has won 6 in a row. Tom Hammond and Steve Jones will bring it to you. Portland a half game behind the first place Golden State Warriors, and Phoenix only a game back, a half game behind Portland. And here at the Palace, Detroit leads Chicago by the score of 71-68 with 7:49 remaining. In the fourth quarter, the Bulls yet to score in the fourth. Detroit has outscored them 6-0. But that's the kind of game it's been. Very hard fought. We've had several testy moments. Here's Jordan with the spin.
Talk about creating a move in midair. There it was.
Sally picked up by Grant. Shot clock at 2. Sally gets it off. And Rodman for the rebound again. Sally missed the stop. 16 rebounds for Dennis Rodman. Isaiah Thomas off the bench getting set to check back in. Dumars off the pick. Yes.
And that was the key. The screen was a terrific screen. It knocked the defensive man off, gave Dumars maybe his first clear look in quite a while at the basket.
The Bulls yet to score in the fourth with 6:40 to go. They've been outscored 8-0 here in the fourth.
Mark Aguirre sticking his hand, and that's the third deflection that Mark Aguirre has had this game that saved a potential shot.
Shot clock at 3. Unanswered by the Pistons here in the fourth quarter. And an official timeout.
Ryan Rude is reporting the scorer's table.
The 24-second clock has gone off over the top of the Chicago basket, so the officials have taken a timeout to try and get that problem corrected.
All right, that's the one not working. The Pistons have moved in front now 75 to 68 off a 10-0 spurt here in the fourth quarter.
You wonder why coaches ride certain players, meaning that they go with them for a certain number of minutes, regardless of how they get started. Mark Aguirre is one of those guys. Chuck Daly knows that he is explosive and at any given time can get on a run and help his team. Right now, in about something like 13 minutes of playing time, he already has 14 shot attempts up at the basket. This guy is a go-to guy. You put the ball in his hands.
And the Chicago Bulls, an explosive club, all times held in check to this point by the #1 defensive team in the NBA. That's called on Walker. Mike, this a question, is it Detroit's defense or the fact that the Bulls are just having a bad shooting ball game, as Walker, you see, was shaken up?
Yeah, and Walker there trying to get over the top of the screen, perhaps a shot in the shoulder right there, working real hard, grabbing in the area where normally a dislocation would take place, and there's the block or screen by Michael Jordan, not normally known being a bruiser, but when you're working real hard on defense, things like that happen. But to get back to it, I think it's a combination of both. Good defense and maybe just a Chicago.
And here come the Pistons. Dumar's putting moves on. Crowd wanted a goaltend, did not get it. Livingston. The foul given by Rodman.
Right now the decision is, will the officials award him not only the 2 free throws, but the ball out of bounds on the side? If they felt Robin went after him a little bit too aggressively, that's what the call will be. Jordan, with numbers, makes the dish at the right time, and right there, that's the tough decision for officials.
It is called a flagrant foul.
I don't think there was any intent that time by Rodman to knock Livingston to the ground, but in an attempt to try and control the tempers in this basketball game, they make that type of call. Actually, you need to go back to the fast break the other way, because that's where the problem started. Pistons had a 4-on-1 and did not convert.
Well, the Bulls finally get on the scoreboard, and Livingston, only a 64% free throw shooter, able to convert both, and now Chicago gains possession.
Rodman hustling back. Is it a legitimate attempt at the basketball, or is he playing the man with an intent to perhaps try and hurt him? That's what determines the call.
The Pistons 75 and the Bulls 70. Chicago shooting only 44% for the game. Scottie Pippen, yes. It is down to a 3-point lead, so that turned out to be a 4-point play.
Yeah, when you look at the 2 that you should have had at the offensive end, it's a 6-point swing in the game. 2 you didn't get, 4 they did get.
Detroit is led by as many as 11. Chicago at 1 point, led by 8. We're down to 5 minutes remaining in the fourth. Isaiah Thomas. Rebounded by Horace Grant. He lost it. The officials checking out the call. And they say Chicago ball. Last touch by Detroit, deflected out of bounds. Here's Bill Cartwright returning. Cartwright up front with Grant and Pippen, Jordan, and Paxson at the guards. Phil Jackson back to his starting 5. Jordan in a battle with Dumars. And Dumars with the steal. 3-on-2. Here's Thomas. And he's fouled.
And the crowd saying, okay, he tried to hurt him, he tried to take him down, give us 2 shots, and the ball out of bounds on the side. Now look back, is there a foul in here as Dumars goes for the swipe? Is that arm? I'd say he got a real good piece of the arm on that one. At the other end, Isaiah taking it down the lane, sees the seam.
Isaiah Thomas, who made it back from last year's wrist surgery, missed 34 games last season, and then hobbled by a pulled hamstring in the playoffs, and the Pistons went down without his leadership, and of course took that shot from Karl Malone. which sidelined him for 3 games.
Yeah, but many people didn't realize when he went to the hospital and received the 40 stitches, he came back, finished out that game, and in fact, in a 2-point game, drove it to the basket. If the foul was called, he would have been shooting 2 free throws.
Oh, what a wild shot by Cartwright. Here's Paxson for 3. Yes! John Paxson connecting with the first 3-pointer of the day for either club. And the Pistons now lead 77-75 with 4 minutes remaining in the 4th.
And Paxson a year ago, who was ranked right up there in 3-point shots, as Isaiah comes right back and knocks out a 3-pointer. A year ago, Paxson ranked real high in the 3-point category. This year, shooting only 21% from the 3-point line.
Thomas has 13. Pistons lead by 5. Jordan getting inside. He was stopped by Sally. Dumars. And Dumars able to get to it. Dumars and Thomas at the guards. Sally with Rodman and Aguirre up front. A lot of hand checking between Grant and Aguirre. Here's Thomas. And Jordan able to race it down. 3:15 to go in the 4th. Chicago with the ball, trailing by 5 points. Pippen off the change of pace. Yes, and the foul. He got the call on the continuation. So Pippen will go to the foul line. Sally called for the personal.
Now, a moment ago, back at the other end, when Jordan went up for the lob, he actually gets caught behind the backboard here. So besides Sally having good position and just keeping his arms up, Michael really couldn't see inside to get the shot. Watch this pullback dribble. Left hand, pull it back, get inside the defense, and then the great concentration, score it, and now the opportunity for the 3-point play.
Pippen on the line for the first time, and he has brought the Bulls within 2. With just under 3 minutes remaining in the 4th.
The mentality right now for Detroit is, you know, Michael Jordan's going to touch the ball X number of times inside the last 3 minutes. We're not going to let him beat us down the stretch. That means the other players will have opportunities to score for Chicago, providing Michael gives it up.
Aguirre. Oh, he was played so well by Grant.
And he's shooting over the top of a 6'10" player and hit nothing but net.
Pistons lead it 82-78, 2.5 remaining in the 4th. Jordan off the spin. And Dumars came up hobbling. That was actually a double spin and a facial served up by Michael Jordan. So the Bulls trail by 2. Jordan has 29. Aguirre. And Jordan on the rebound. Just under 2 minutes remaining in the 4th. And the push called on Dumars. That's his 4th. A timeout being called. 1:57 remaining in the 4th quarter. The Pistons by 2 will be back at the Palace in a moment.
Cold filtered. Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
Somehow, people have gotten the idea the new Toyota Paseo is a wildly exciting, sporty coupe. The Paseo is a practical, sensible car. Okay, so it has some muscle. And a low starting price could be a big turn-on. And sure, you're going to be instantly popular. But that's no reason to do something impulsive. Think it over. The all-new Paseo. A very practical car. From Toyota.
If we could light a candle for everything he's done, for every life he's better, for every victory won, that light would shine so brightly that all the world would see all he did for peace and freedom and equality.
McDonald's joins the nation in celebrating the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
The place to be early on Super Sunday is with the NBA on NBC. Detroit, Boston. The Celtics seek revenge against the team that knocked them out of the '91 playoffs. Then, a special look at two of the game's greats that shaped the NBA. The Magic and Bird era, next Sunday on NBC.
Welcome back to the Palace. Mike, message here from a real estate agent from Seattle. Something about, would you prefer a condo or a rental?
I'm tired.
I don't
tired of
this.
you in every city starting rumors. This is aggravating.
Trying to help your career, but your name continues to pop up.
Mom and Dad doing a good job with the PR.
The Pistons with a 2-point lead on the Bulls with a minute 57 remaining in the fourth quarter, and Michael Jordan to the foul line. Chicago in the timeout department, 3 and a 20 remaining. Detroit 2 and a 20. Both clubs are over the foul limit. And Jordan now 6 for 7 from the line. He is averaging just under 30 per game to lead the NBA in scoring. And can tie the game right here. And Jordan gets it back. Here's Paxson with the open shot. Pippen on the rebound. Look out. Paxson and Aguirre in a collision. It's called last touch by Aguirre.
Well, that's hard because the official on the sideline was behind both players going after the basketball. It was tough for him to get a real good look. As it comes down the sideline here, the official is caught behind both Aguirre and Paxson. You could see it was a tough look for him.
The Pistons with a 1-point lead. A minute 35 remaining in the fourth quarter. Wayne Beard jumping out on Jordan. Here is Pippen. Yes.
And that's what we had mentioned. There, Jordan commands the respect of two Pistons. Now it's a matter of can one of the other players find an opening, Jordan get it to him, and then produce by making the shot.
Chicago with a 1-point lead. They've won 8 in a row. Detroit has won 5 straight. Jordan with the steal. And he is held by Isaiah. He's fouled by Thomas.
And he will receive 2 free throws because he had a clear path to the basket for a shot attempt. They'll award him 2, but then Detroit gets the ball back.
And that, an interesting get-together. What with all the talk earlier regarding the Michael Jordan antipathy for Isaiah Thomas. And as it turns out, Isaiah made the sportsman-like type play.
Yeah, Isaiah, after those 40 stitches, I think realizes how dangerous it can be, how suddenly a career can end. In no way does he want to hurt a Michael Jordan. They play hard, they play to win, but in that particular case, he's not trying to put him down to hurt him.
That is Ronnie Nunn over at the official scorers table. They are checking on time remaining. The clock shows a minute 9. The Bulls lead it by 2. And apparently, everything is set now. Minute 9 remaining in this fourth quarter. Michael Jordan gunning for his 32nd point. Also has 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. The Bulls lead by 3. Shown by Chicago. 3. In that estimating November, they've won 6. And Pippen remaining. Dumars gives the foul.
And Dumars had more second clock and 24.
Portland has won 4 in a row. Phoenix with 6 straight wins. And at halftime, Quinn Buckner will be talking with Larry Bird. That is just ahead right here on NBC. Portland goes into today's play half game behind Golden State. Phoenix a game back. How about the Warriors last night? As Jordan misses on the first, Golden State knocking off Dallas 143-141 to maintain the leadership of the Pacific.
Dallas has been involved in more close basketball games and unfortunately winding up on the short end of it.
24 and 5/10 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. The Bulls lead by 3. Jordan now 8 for 11 from the line.
There was some confusion. Chicago on its bench chart had 6 fouls on Dumars, and that's what the little discussion was about. Should he be out of the game?
But it is 5 on Dumars, and Chuck Daly takes a timeout. His Pistons are trailing by 4. We'll be back in a moment.
This is an exciting moment.
Some said it couldn't be done.
We can see it now.
How did they do it?
And while all the others only talked about it,
I'm so happy they did it.
we did it. Introducing the 1992 Toyota Previa. Now the only van that meets all passenger car Federal Motor Vehicle safety standards. Because when it comes to safety, we didn't let anything stop us.
I didn't want to be the first, but when I heard how many other guys had already tried Rogaine, I did too. Now I have only one regret. I just wish I'd tried Rogaine sooner.
For more information about Rogaine with minoxidil, see your doctor or call this number. If you want to get the complete story about Rogaine with minoxidil, what it does and how it does it, see your doctor or call 1-800-274-8270.
Upjohn Information Center.
That's 1-800-274-8270.
We built this business.
I hit the brakes. You know, they're anti-lock brakes. It was close, but we stopped in time.
Build this business.
Every year they plant new trees. Dad says they make good things from trees.
After my accident, they advanced my insurance benefits and built me a ramp and got me back on my feet.
We built this business to build your dreams.
.24 and 5/10 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Bulls with an 86-82 lead on the Pistons. Bulls coming from behind after the slow start. In the fourth quarter, that's the timeout situation. Chicago Bulls at 32 and 5. What a stretch it's been for Chicago. They win in Cleveland, knock off San Antonio at home on Friday. There are people talking about the possibility of a 70 victory season, which would be an NBA record. Thomas going right to the hoop to cut it to 2.
Now they need a quick foul. Stop that clock right away as Chicago takes the timeout.
Paxson was shaken up. John Paxson holding the shoulder. The timeout taken. 19 and 4/10 seconds remaining in the fourth. We'll be back after this.
You could hitch a ride on a comet. You could body surf a landslide. You could hang glide from an eagle. You could book a flight on a lightning bolt. Or you could drive the 1992 Toyota 4x4 and get it all.
This is where there is no local grocery. This is where there is no food to go home to. This is where the children go hungry. But thanks to an organization called CARE, this is also where millions who once faced starvation are now being fed. In his homeland of Africa, the NBA's Manute Bol has seen that a little care can make a world of difference.
Show that you care.
Pistons have 2 timeouts left. They have a full and a 20. Chicago with 2 and a 20. It's down to a 2-point lead with Chicago ball and 19 and 4/10 seconds to go.
And there's plenty of time left for Detroit. The decision by Chicago, take it on the baseline where there's more room to operate, or take it at the half-court area. Looks like Chicago's decided to take it at the mid-court stripe. So now what Detroit wants to do is shut off the outlets of the best free throw shooters, put the ball into the hands of someone, let's say like a Cartwright, only a 66% shooter, foul him right away and hope for the best.
John Paxson apparently okay after taking the shoulder. Charles Thomas, a rookie from Eastern Michigan, has checked in, and he is guarding Paxson. Lance Blank's also there. These are the guys to give the foul. It's out of the pages of Red Holzman in the early 70s when he sent Mike Reardon in to give a foul, and Mike would get a standing ovation. So Chuck Daly using the combination of Lance Blanks and Charles Thomas.
Well, if there's one guy that you did not want to catch the basketball, it's Michael Jordan, shooting over 83% from the free throw line, but so be it. He caught it, so you have to foul him as soon as you can.
Although Michael has had his problems at the line, at least for Jordan, 9 for 12, showing some human qualities. He's an 84% free throw shooter.
Keep an eye on Paxson and Pippen at the top of the circle. Chicago runs a little play where they crash the boards. Normally, you must assign a defensive man. There you see Dumars moving over and Isaiah face guarding Paxson so that Pippen can't crash the boards from the top of the circle.
The Bulls by 3, 17 seconds to go in the fourth. And Detroit very much alive. So this is an un-Jordan-like performance at the line. 16 seconds to go in the fourth. Detroit takes timeout.
Upper Deck takes you there.
If we could light a candle for everything he's done, for every life he's bettered, for every victory won, that light would shine so brightly that all the world would see all he did for peace and freedom and equality.
McDonald's joins the nation in celebrating the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Amon Rashad back at the Palace of Auburn Hills. And the Chicago Bulls now lead the Detroit Pistons by the score of 87-84. Following this timeout, when we resume, it will be Piston ball. 16 seconds remaining. And the Pistons are 1 for 6 thus far today from downtown.
Yeah, but they have one guy in Joe Dumars who is the second best in the NBA, only behind John Stockton. Dumars shooting 47% from the three-point stripe. He struggled today, but you know he's made a number of big ones in his career. The nice thing with Detroit is they have more than just one guy who can knock out a big three-pointer. Lambeer, Isaiah, Aguirre, even Rodman not too bad shooting threes.
So Dumars beat Dallas with a last-second three-pointer this past Monday.
Watch the guy out of bounds passing the basketball, who happens to be Dennis Rodman right now. They are putting no one on the basketball. If he can make a pass, he's free to run to an open spot for a return pass. I think Chicago has said if somebody's going to beat us or tie us at least with a three, it's going to be Rodman.
After the slow start in the fourth, Chicago has come on a 19-9 run to lead by 3. Here's Thomas for 3. Rebounded by Livingston. And the foul given with 6 seconds remaining.
And that thing, we are right in line with Isaiah and the basket. That looked like it was going in from the time it left his hand. He got a quick look, a good look, but straight at the rim.
Rodman called for the foul. Both clubs have been over the limit for a good portion of this fourth quarter. Cliff Livingston all smiles as he heads to the line. Trying to relax himself undoubtedly. Only a 64% free throw shooter. He had hit his first 2 from the line. And Detroit takes a timeout. So we're down to 6 seconds, and when we come back, Livingston will have another free throw. Well, coming up, it'll be the Portland Trailblazers who have won 4 straight, and the Phoenix Suns who have taken 6 in a row. Clyde the Glide Drexler and the Blazers going up against Kevin Johnson and the Suns. That is just ahead as the second part of our doubleheader here on NBC. And at halftime, our Quinn Buckner will be chatting with Larry Bird.
You wonder why Chuck Daly used up that last timeout, which was a 20. It didn't matter. You can't advance the ball in the NBA on a 20. So what Chuck did is, 1, make Livingston think about it a little bit longer. 2, set up some kind of screens in transition off the dribble to free somebody up and get people in spots quickly for an open 3 in case he misses this one.
Air ball. So Livingston misses both. Detroit still alive. Down by 3. No timeouts remaining. 6 seconds to go. Need a 3 to tie. And the foul given by Paxson. He goes over to apologize for the push.
And what Chuck Daly is saying is, give us the 2 or give us the ball back again. My star player wound up on the front row right there. Is this intentional with the intent to hurt? Chuck Daly felt it was.
Well, the play here, no question. Hit the first, missed the second, vie for the rebound. Just the important free throw. Isaiah Thomas only 2 out of 4 from the line.
Detroit has a play where they run a little cross, an X underneath. In other words, since Rodman's the best offensive rebounder, Lambier will run across the lane and try to get a piece of Grant. Isaiah will try to miss. He's talking right now, Isaiah, to Rodman. What he's saying is, I'm going to miss left or I'm going to miss right, depending which play they've set up. If Lambier can wipe out Grant, it might free Rodman to get on the offensive boards. Everybody will be crashing for Detroit.
2 and 6/10 seconds. He line drives it. And Dumars not able to get it in time. It took the good hop for Chicago, and the Bulls strapped their way to an 87-85 victory over the Pistons. Michael Jordan, the high man, with 34. Scottie Pippen at 17. Orlando Woolridge leading Detroit with 18. Joe Dumars with 15. Isaiah Thomas with 16 points. The Bulls have won 9 straight, 14 of the last 15, and they go to 33-5, while Detroit sees its win streak stop at 5, and they are now 22-17. A look at today's Miller Genuine Draft play of the game. What a spin move by Michael Jordan. In recognition of that play, Miller Genuine Draft donates $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Thanks to our statistician, Mr. Stats, Elliot Kalb, our producer, John McGinnis, our director, Andy Rosenberg, Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad saying so long from the Palace, where the Bulls defeat the Pistons by 2. Tuned to the NBA on NBC.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by Delta Airlines. We love to fly, and it shows.
Drug Wars, a motion picture the critics give a grade A.
We survive on power or we don't survive at all.
Top-notch movie making that shouldn't be missed. As good as anything you'd pay money to see.
I want to see him burn for it.
The true story of the battle America won in the war on drugs.
We'll be waiting.
Drug Wars, tonight on NBC.
Horizons only a train can show you. A rhythm you feel only on the rails. The people you meet. The friends you make. The time you share. There are endless reasons to see America by train. The best one is, you've always wanted to.
Which car gets the top awards? The experts never agree. The Cadillac Seville STS. The first automobile in history to win not 1, not 2, but all 3 major automotive magazine awards in the same year. The Cadillac Seville STS. There's never been a car so acclaimed, it could change the way you think about American automobiles. See your Chicagoland Cadillac dealer.
Both Visa and American Express Gold cards can get you to La Roche-Guyon, one of the prettiest towns in France. But should something go wrong here, only Visa Gold can get you out.
You had to come to France, right?
Don't start, Marty.
Because La Roche-Guyon's only towing service
No, we're not getting a tow truck. I can get this out.
doesn't take American Express.
Oui?
Visa Gold, delivering what really matters.
Jamal's from.
Honey, that means I eat France.
Oh.
It's everywhere you want to be.
Based on actual events, Drug Wars, NBC Sunday.
Sellout crowd at Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Phoenix for the Trailblazers against the